Hello friends, today we will discuss what is osmosis. So osmosis is a process which occurs in biological systems and it is the movement of solvent molecules across the semi-permeable membrane. So it is the movement of water molecules across a semi-permeable membrane. So it moves to the region where higher concentration of solute molecules are present. So this concept would be clear with the diagram. As you can see in this diagram, there are two phases, before and after. So in the first diagram, you can see that there is a semi-permeable membrane. So this semi-permeable membrane separates the two systems. So let's say that this system is A and this system is B. So it is very much clear that in system B there is higher concentration of solute than system A. So the solvent molecules will move from A to B. So as you can see in this diagram, so in A the amount of solvent molecules is less, whereas in B the amount of solvent molecules is more. So osmosis is the movement of water molecules across a semi-permeable membrane, and this water movement occurs to the region of higher solute concentration. So in a biological system, the solvent which is mostly used is water, but other liquids and even gases can also be transported by osmosis. So osmosis is a passive transport. So passive transport means that it does not require energy. So osmosis is a passive transport. Now, let us discuss the factors affecting osmosis. The first factor is temperature. So, as the rate of temperature increases, the rate of osmosis also increases. So, increase in the temperature results in increase of osmosis. So, this increase in osmosis is due to the increase in temperature, because the energy molecules also increases. So increase in temperature, what happens is that the energy of the molecules also increases. So now let us discuss the second factor, which is the concentration gradient. So we know that osmosis is dependent on the concentration of solute molecules. That is, based on the number of solute concentration, the movement of solvent takes place. So we can say that any change in the solute concentration can directly affect the rate of osmosis. So when the concentration of the solute across a membrane is higher, it also shoots up the osmosis. So when the concentration gets higher, the osmosis also shoots up. So the next third factor which affects the osmosis is water potential or the solvent potential. So the water potential across a semi-permeable membrane also affects the rate of osmosis. So first what happens is that the water potential of a solution, when it is more, the water molecules move across a membrane as the pressure exerted by the particles is increased. Eventually, what happens is that water potential on either side of the semi-permeable membrane becomes equal, that is, an equilibrium is reached there. So once the equilibrium is reached, the water still continues to flow across the membrane, but this flow is always in equal amount. So we can say that it is stabilizing the solution. So the water molecules still flows, but It is in an equal amount. So the fourth factor affecting osmosis is the surface area and the thickness of the membrane. When the surface area is being increased, the space available for the molecules to move is increased. So this results in increase in osmosis, that is, increase in surface area results in increase of osmosis. Similarly, we can say that when the surface area is less, the space available for the molecules is less. Hence, the rate of osmosis is reduced. So when the thickness of a membrane increases, it decreases the rate of osmosis. The last factor affecting osmosis is pressure. And pressure is an essential factor which influences the process of osmosis. This is because the pressure can result in even a change in the direction of osmosis. So, we say that pressure is an essential factor affecting osmosis. So, when a pressure applied to a solvent is greater than that of a solvent, it results in the change in direction of osmosis. And this is because the solvent molecules begin to move towards the region with more solvent concentration. So when the pressure is less than the pressure exerted by the solvent molecule, it does not change the direction, but it reduces the rate of osmosis. And if the pressure applied is in the same direction of the concentration gradient, it increases the rate of osmosis. So, if the pressure applied is excess to that of the solvent molecule, then a change in the direction of osmosis occurs. But when the pressure is less than the solvent molecules, there is no change in the direction of osmosis, but it results in reduction of osmosis. So when the pressure is applied in the same direction of concentration gradient, it increases the rate of osmosis. So now let us discuss what are the types of osmosis. The first type of osmosis is reverse type osmosis. So in reverse type osmosis, what happens is that the solvent is allowed to flow from a region of high solute concentration to a region of low solute concentration through a semi-permeable membrane. And this flow is allowed by applying a pressure which is excess to the osmotic pressure. So, reverse osmosis is the flow of solvent from a region of high solute concentration to a region of low solute concentration through a semi-permeable membrane. And in flowing, we give a pressure which is excess to the osmotic pressure. So, now let us make sure the concept of reverse osmosis is clear. In the case of normal osmosis, the flow of water molecules occurs from a region of low solute concentration to a region of high solute concentration. So, the water molecules moves from a low solute concentration to a high solute concentration through a semi-permeable membrane. But in the case of reverse osmosis, what happens is that the water molecules move from a region of high solute concentration to a region of low solute concentration. So this is the direction of water molecules from a region of high solute concentration to a region of low solute concentration through a semi-permeable membrane. And this process occurs when a pressure is applied here which is greater than the osmotic pressure. So, reverse osmosis only occurs when a pressure greater than osmotic pressure is applied on the high solute concentration. Then, the flow of water occurs from a region of high solute concentration to a region of low solute concentration. So, endosmosis is the movement of water into the cell, whereas exosmosis is the movement of water out of the cell. So, endosmosis is the movement of water into the cell, whereas exosmosis is the movement of water out of the cell. So, endosmosis occurs when a cell is placed in a solution and it consists of higher concentration of water than the cell. Whereas exosmosis occurs when a cell is placed in a solution which consists of higher concentration of solute than the cell. So, in the case of endosmosis, the cell swells, whereas in the case of exosmosis, the cell shrinks. So, let us take an example from daily life to explain what is endosmosis and what is exosmosis. So, you are familiar that when we put raisins in water, it results in swollen raisins. And this is because the water enters inside the raisins. Earlier, in raisins, we know that the amount of water content is too less, whereas when we put it into water solution, what happens is that water is being absorbed by the raisins. So, this results in swelling up of raisins. So, this process is known as endosmosis. So, the next process is exosmosis. We are familiar that when grapes is put into a salt solution, it results in shrinking of grape. So this is because in a salt solution, the amount of solute is higher, whereas in a grape, the solute molecule is less. So the water flows from grape to the salt solution, which results in shrinking of grapes. So, in the case of grapes, it results in outward flow of water, whereas in the case of raisins, it results in inward inflow of water. So, this is the difference between endosmosis and exosmosis. That is, in the case of endosmosis, the water is flowed inward, whereas in the case of exosmosis, the water is flowed outward from the grape. So let us take the example of a cell and explain endosmosis and exosmosis. So in the case of endosmosis, the cell is placed inside a water solution and this results in increase of the size of the cell, that is, the water is flowed into the cell, whereas in the case of exosmosis, the cell is placed in a salt solution or a sugar solution. So, the amount of water content in sugar is less than that of a cell. So, this results in the outward flow of the water and results in shrinking of a cell. So, the concept of osmosis is clear. For more such videos, do subscribe to our channel Biotech Simplified. If you like this channel, please like and share with your friends.